the Millennium Development Goal, specifically Goal 8 and Goal 4, is talking about the employability and its role in economical developments. So actually, most of the African universities and African associations had worked on that in order to develop entrepreneur and innovative university and institutions. And I think this is the first steps in implementation of entrepreneur at a community levels. So actually, Association of African University formulate many developmental programs and implement of regional initiative in quality assurance and rating mechanism and application of all international regulations, and it has been translated into a part of its policy. Actually, we have 4 years policy, and now we are developing our next 5 years policy, which include all the international targeted issues related to economical developments. So youth employability is the most important item in economical developments. So we have a big experience in different African countries, and I think this is a good opportunity for us to share our idea with other Arab and other regions so we can benefit for others. Because according to my visions, networking, forums, or global or regional works can help us a lot to formulate our things and to achieve our objectives. We are in a regional office, as I said, we formulate our regional policy, which included every item mentioned in all presented papers. So it is a good opportunity for us to share our experience. Actually, the presenter represents 5 African countries with different 5 regions. And even the presentation started from knowledge generations, policy implementations, analysis and finding, and which can represent a good features about the real situation. What are we doing in Africa? And most of African universities and institutions develop their incubations and business incubators according to the implementation of approved entrepreneurs and innovation programs. As I said in the morning, that we are lagging behind because actually we need a general regional policies, because policies or our voice must be louder to reach all the stakeholders and the concerned people working in the issue, because entrepreneur innovations is integration, an integrated system. It involves policymakers, academicians, sponsor, and producers at the same time. So we need to work together in order to reach our main objectives. So for the presenter, if you like to see the presentations, you can take your chair here, and then we come back for discussion lastly. Okay? Shall we start with the first presentations, which actually about the entrepreneurship in higher education's learning outcome and graduates' intention to start business. This is an experience from Tanzania, from which the presenter can show us what they are doing to solve the problem of business and employability. Please, Prof. Simon.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to convey my sincere appreciation to Kingdom University and Dr. Faiza for inviting us to present some of our findings on African version with regard to entrepreneurship and higher education. So my studies on entrepreneurship in higher education. This study focusing, entrepreneurship in higher education. The focus is on learning outcomes of entrepreneurship education provided in higher education, and the graduate intention to start business. To start with, entrepreneurship education has been a subject of interest among scholars globally, even at regional level, at continental level, both scholars and policymakers for the past 20 years. And for example, in Tanzania, which is main focus of this study, we have a number of documents, like we have National Blueprint, we have Vision 2025, which one of the objectives is to make the country to be a middle-income country by the year 2025. This national blueprint was established in 1999, and we are about 6 years to arrive in that particular deadline. So we want to check how far we've gone with regard to, the country become a middle-income country by the year 2025. Also in Tanzania, we do have Entrepreneurship Action Plan 2016-2020, which aimed, among many objectives, to promote self-employment and the economic empowerment. But the focus of this study will mainly focusing on how entrepreneurship courses at the higher education institutions, how do they make or facilitate graduates to start their own businesses. So higher education institutions has various roles when it comes to entrepreneurship inculcation. One of the role or ways is to provide basic skills necessary for any work, which is very common, very conventional. Most of the higher education, almost all higher education institutions, they do provide that broad education skills, which in different fields like mathematics, reading, geography, history. Also, higher education institutions, they do contribute to specific skills, like in sciences, engineering, technology. But also, there's another one, which is also debatable, on whether the higher educations, they nurture the intangible skills. Because we did a study also, it's a different study, on the employers' attributes. Employers' perspective towards the graduate skills. And they are saying that you guys, you're not doing enough when it comes to inculcating the soft skills to your graduates. So, some of the literature, they say that, okay, the university or higher education institutions, they are doing that, like creative thinking, communication skills, risk-taking. For the case of this study, we've we created the questionnaire, which was administered to students, of which 310 questionnaire were returned. And the questionnaire comprised of 31 questions. And we used probability level of 0.05 on 0.05. When it's higher than 0.05, then it becomes significant. But between 0.01 and 0.001 is highly significant, and between, less than 0.01 become very high significant. On the first part of the this study, we are focusing on the learning outcome of those entrepreneurship education. One of the findings that we found that the learning outcome of entrepreneurship education in the selected higher education institution in Tanzania were generally not large. That the learning outcome is not as expected in higher education, whereby most of the entrepreneurship students or graduates have participated in short courses, or some of the elements, some of the topics are covered in other subjects, in different subjects, or as subtopic or topic in other courses. Also, existing entrepreneurship education is mainly focusing on developing the generic entrepreneurship skills. That is, people, they're after cognitive outcome rather than other domains of learning. So we are still under learning outcomes. There's also a gap between methods applied to teach entrepreneurship education and those who are seen as the most effective way to teach. Especially when it comes to lecture method. When you are teaching entrepreneurship skills, we expect these students to be exposed in a practical way. They should at least have something apart from attending lectures and getting their grades, then they are done. But when we did that study, we found that we are still using the traditional pedagogies, especially lecture method. Also, we found that in the selected institutions, there's a duplication of efforts where the entrepreneurship education was offered in different departments, and most of them they are subjected just one topic or subtopic, but there's no comprehensive university-wide entrepreneurship education for all students. Also, we found that there is this, we call it ivory tower syndrome. The university operates on their own. They don't invite people from outside, from the business community, or they don't have this kind of interaction with their alumni who are doing business, who are entrepreneurs in the market. So there is this kind of entrepreneurship syndrome where there is less interaction between the higher education institutions and the business community and the alumni. On the second part of our focus is on how students, entrepreneurship students, their intention to start business. So we administered questionnaire to students before they attended, the EAE course. And the result was as follows. As you can notice there, that most of the respondents, they prefer to be employed rather than being self-employed. About 77%, they prefer to be employed. 50 of them, 16.1%, they prefer to go for further studies. And only 20, which make 6.5%, they are the one who want to go for their self-employment, to be entrepreneurs. So, after that, after they graduate, then we went again to ask them if they still have that intentions, if they still have that career intentions. So, we have this career intention immediately after graduation, and we found that there's the trend is still almost there, because 200 respondents, they say they want to be employed. But only 80, which makes total of 25.8%, they say that they want to be self-employed, to be entrepreneurs. Again, in this study, after seeing the results, then we come up with why these students, probability of owning, okay, we have this question that, okay, we want to establish the probability of owning business in the future. And most of them, they responded that they have that high probability of owning business in the future, which makes a total of 200 respondents, 64.5%. But you can see that down there, there is no probability, only two respondents. They say that they respond that way. So among the challenges they cited with regard to why they think that, what the challenges they are facing and make them to see that it is difficult to start a business there. So one of the challenges they say is capital. They don't have capital. Another challenge is that they lack business advice from the people in this field, and also they don't know how to explore business opportunities out there. So this study recommends several recommendations. One of them is to start an entrepreneurship hub, whereby at university you can invite, you can establish entrepreneur hub where students and their lecturers, they can interact with dynamic business environment and business people out there, at least to groom them on the entrepreneurship practices. Also, when it comes to award of credits, focus should also include other than university examination test, but also in that particular area, or when they are teaching in entrepreneurship education, they should include also practicals and innovation apps and award some credits in their final grades. Also, they should offer higher education-wide or university-wide comprehensive entrepreneurship education courses and opportunities and more specialized courses on entrepreneurship education. As it stands, that every specializations, they have their own way of teaching the entrepreneurship course. For example, we went in one of the institutes, it's called Institute of Development Studies. For them, they have a small topic, just a subtopic, which is not university-wide. When you go to engineering college, they have their own way. So we are recommending that these people, at least they should have university-wide comprehensive, and it should be compulsory for all graduates. Another recommendation is role models, guest speakers from outside, especially those people, successful business people. They should come to university, at least to inspire them, to give some success story challenges to these entrepreneurship students. In concluding, entrepreneurship courses in higher education, in fact, it covers some few entrepreneurship skills. Among them is creative skills, communication skills, and risk-taking. Therefore, there is a need to extend entrepreneurship courses to other non-business study programs. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I think business or individual business is a dream of any graduate in a country with low socioeconomic status. Yes, they believe on that, but they need to find a way how it can be done in a successful way. This is why at international levels, many dialogue going around to change, how to change the behaviors and attitudes from graduate and from teachers also. So multiple intelligence and teaching methodology is a most important issues which can disseminate the informations and also make use of the knowledge to be translated to practice and behavior and practice at the end. The paper speaking about or giving us general features about how things going in that countries, and as you see that they try to find a way for training and improving skills of the graduates and using different teaching methodologies. And the finding was in front of you that I think you need to be creative at yourself in order to build entrepreneur system.
Okay, thank you for this time, and I would like to convey my thanks to the Professor Laden for University of Kingdom and the Director for AAU East African for invitation. My name is, as I mentioned, Paul Abineza. I'm a PhD candidate in mining and working with the University of Rwanda and Department of Entrepreneurship. And as my previous said, entrepreneurship is practical. That's why I sought to create my own firm, consulting company that helps the universities. I did normally consultants in the education, developing curriculum, and I support some small and medium enterprise for business plan and even the policy formulation. Just my work as entitled is entrepreneurship and investment. I think some of you knows about the Rwanda. A little bit, the Rwanda economy's success over the last decade with widely recognized one of the Africa's fastest growing economy. I think you heard about this. From 20, the economy has grown well, 70% per year. And it comes from 20, it was 242 US dollar at the GDP. And the last year, we have 787 US dollar per GDP. You see that the growing was well. Just what the Rwanda did, they tried to combine. There is the Ministry of Youth, the Ministry of Labor, and the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. They have tried to combine different programs aiming to the entrepreneurship and investment for the young people. And the vision was for the youth sector, a healthy people means you cannot be a good entrepreneur if you are not healthy. You should be innovative. You should be having a good attitude. I think you have, if you don't have a good attitude, a good practice, there it is very difficult to be success. And productive and patriotic. That is a vision that we normally teach the young people to be good entrepreneurs. As I said earlier, we have a national employment program that normally called the NEP. It was just in the previous years, we have scattered many different programs aiming to job creation. Then the government decided to combine those programs into one program called the National Employment Program with different interventions that it mentioned. It was just for the intervention one was the skills development led by Educ. That program is led by the Ministry of Youth, the Ministry of Education, the young people from the secondary schools, universities, and even the vocational training centers. They have that curriculum where the young people can be trained from the roots, and they grow with the spirit for creating their own jobs. Then the second intervention is entrepreneurship and business development. That intervention is leading by the Ministry of Commerce. It's the ministry who is just implementing the program, but in conjunction with the other ministries and the universities. For that interventions, the young people are mentored, coached from the centers, from the universities. Even for those who did not having the chance to follow the normal studies, they can study short courses within 6 or 3 months. Then after the course, they can be supported to have some kits to create their own jobs. Then we have other key interventions, like the labor market interventions. As my previous presenter has said, we had challenges of the gap between the education and the labor market. There we sorted how we can just train the young people, give the skills regarding to the market. Because the previous years we have that many students follow the social science, then after there is no job. And the government and we sort how they can just focusing on the field that can produce the skills and the opportunity to the young people, graduates. And when this program has started, there is a good change that the unemployment rate start reducing slowly. Then we have the coordination mechanism because there is the intervention and programs. Then we sort of have the program can be evaluated within 1 year, 2 years in terms of evaluation to find out what is going on, what can we just reviewing and give some orientations. We have also thought about the youth global opportunities. Just apart from the national opportunities and the government programs, we normally training the young people how they can fund other market instead of the national only. You know that we have the East Africa, we have the other organizations that Rwanda is just a member with, like Commonwealth, the Francophonie, the East African Community, and maybe you know that even the next year, Rwanda will host the Commonwealth program. Those are the opportunities that can help the young people to create, to have the opportunities, to have the jobs, even other interests that can help them to get jobs. And we thought how all opportunities, all jobs created, how they can be, have the skills on the ICT. You see that the ICT has no limit, apart from the national, but we have the other opportunities, even you heard that you can even create jobs, you can do your jobs in your country, even you are not there, because we thought that even there is digital ambassadors programs where the young people can, now in Rwanda, we have more than 100 services that is provided online. That is why we thought how the young people can be trained to have enough skills to provide those jobs, even to use the ICT skills. We thought about the national talent. In this intervention, we train younger people, even those who have the talent, and how they can produce to the interest. How can the talent be given the service, given the jobs? We have also Youth Connect. Maybe you have about this. We have National Youth Connect, and we have Africa Youth Connect. Even this last month, we had it, and it is a Rwandan service that it is extending in Africa. I was saying about this Connect Africa. This is concerning the brigade, the conservation of the land. Thank you very much for attention.
Thank you very much. This is an experience from established policy at Rwanda. And as I said, if you have a policy or a national initiative, you have the way, you have a corner to ask about sponsorship, to ask about collaborations, rather than to work at individual institutions. Thank you, Paul, for the introduction of experience of Rwanda. And now we are coming to Nigeria, Dr. Queen, intellectual property technology. That means we are shifting from situation analysis to policy formations. Now we are coming to regulation and governance. Intellectual property is the most important issue. It's easier to formulate entrepreneur and investment program, but we need to have a control issues. How to control it according to country regulations and according to international laws. Thank you very much, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Engineer Dr. Queenet Omoibo. I am from Nigeria. In 50 years' time, what will the world be like? The world will be a result of what we think, what we invest in, the technology that will come up from this investment, of this investment we've invested, and then we'll see the world a better place if we're doing the right thing now. So what are we doing? We need to see how the brain work, neurotechnology, what do we do with it? We're talking about the 4.0 industry. Nobody mentioned, everybody's mentioning AI, artificial intelligence. Now Queenet is mentioning genome editing. Wow, what's that? It has to do with knowing the gene of the human record, the genealogical features of every human using machines, using automation. So immediately you pass somewhere, everything about you is recorded. If you go back there, they know you have gone there before. We're getting there. Yes, I can see everybody's eyes. Wow, is it real? For real. So how do we do all of this? It comes from the brain. Everybody has to do what we call intellectual property. And what is intellectual property? What you think about. So we need to know what we're thinking about. And everything we think about stems from ideas. And when it becomes innovative, creative, and inventive, we need to save it. Don't steal it. It's someone else's property. That's why I'm here. Intellectual property. Now, the outline I'm going to be giving today is on entrepreneurship, intellectual property, the relationship between intellectual property and entrepreneurship, intellectual property policy, objective of intellectual property policy for tertiary institutions, and my case study is my country, Nigeria. Right? Patents, ownership rights, distribution of these revenues we get from entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, building of businesses. You need to be creative-minded to build your business. Once you have built it, what is the way forward? Now your intellectual property comes in. And what is that? You could see someone's brain there. You're busy thinking. You're busy saying, what's the next thing? How do I survive this? What are the tangible products that can result from these transformed inventions I have made? And once you've gotten your tangible product, what do you do with them? You have to go about now doing research, collecting your data, and then you have to monitor all your projects. And these projects have to be what? Viable. Because not all of them are viable. And once they are viable, what do? You have to manage it. Now, how do you manage it? You need a policy to manage it. And what are these policies? They help you to know how to manage what you have come about. They fully commercialize what you're doing, and then your ownership rights, protecting what you have done. The main objective of intellectual property is to lead you to know how you manage what you've done, like I said, using an efficient technology transfer process, and then protecting the rights of entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial products, the product of these things that you've carried out. And then you research, using your intellectual property policy to ensure that your commercial results are distributed fairly. How do you do that? Patents. We have patents, we have copyrights, we have trademarks, we have... Now, for patents, it's your right. It's granted for you for 20 years. I think I had to do a lot of research and I found out that almost everywhere in the world is 20 years. But for Nigeria, it's also 20 years. And for that period you're giving your patent, no one has a right to touch that, okay? So you have all the sole right. But most of these SMEs we have do not have patentable products. And so they are stocked. And most of them are not aware of what to do. So we need to see how, like in my university, we'll go around from faculty to faculty, educating all the various entrepreneurial SMEs around to tell them what to do, how to get patent form, because it's expensive to patent in Nigeria. So my university fronts to patent for them and then protect their products for them. And then if you patent your product, you have a full right over it, and you have the sole right to give it to someone like a lease within a short time before your patent right is elapsed in that 20 years. Now, your intellectual property policy, property here, how does it go with entrepreneurship? It goes about because there's problem-solving ability for both of them. There's a great idea coined into business opportunity. And then you evaluate, exploit all the opportunities you have there. You innovate all your innovations, your ideas, you use it for managerial competencies, and then creativity, bearing in mind your trademarks and your trade secret. Coca-Cola has a trademark, Everywhere in the world, you see Coca-Cola. I found out, when I first heard about Bahrain, I was like, wow, Dr. Faiza, Bahrain, where am I going? I hope it's not the end of the world. But when I got here, I saw Pepsi. I was like, wow. So Pepsi is in Bahrain. That's a trademark. How did Queenette know that it's Pepsi? Because it has a trademark. It's the same all over the world. And I'm sure when I go anywhere else, I will still see the same trademark. So for you to have an SME, you need to talk to the Intellectual Property Transfer Office to educate you on how to go about doing your own trademark. I saw some women, they are over there, they are just at the back. Could you wave at me? God bless you. They have some bags, and inside that bag, the first thing I looked at, because that's my area, I checked for their trademark, and I saw a trademark inside the bag. And I told the woman, what is this? She said, that's my label. I was like, no, it's not your label. It's your trademark. She was like, oh, is that the name? I said, yes. You need to know the right terminologies as an entrepreneur. That's your trademark. So anywhere you see that same sign, you quickly know it's yours. There are some clothes, some couture. You see them at back, Paco Rabanne. So anywhere you go in the world, it's just for one person, Paco Rabanne. And then when you try to steal that, the next thing is you could go to jail, because it's not your intellectual property. It's not your idea. It's not your creativity. Okay? So don't take someone else's. All right? So trade secret, trademark, they are confidential data, and you need to make it confidential. Like stout. Till tomorrow, nobody knows what makes up that stout. But there's a family that is in that circle. They only have that trade secret. They don't divulge it, because immediately it is divulged, everybody starts to duplicate it. Everybody starts to do it. They don't want to do their own thing. They want to take someone else's intellectual property. So there is always a trade secret in whatever you're doing. Yes, in patenting, you give out the idea, you give out all the inventions and all of that, but there is a trade secret. So you go ahead and look for yours. Don't steal someone else's own. And now, the distinct sign for identifying any service or product is your trademark. So you need to have your trademark as an SME. Promote your initiative and enterprise, and don't counterfeit. Okay? Trademarks are symbols, drawings, like Coca-Cola, like I said, Pepsi, and all of that. Benefits you get for entrepreneurship, of course we know, after commercializing, expansion, investment. And then each of these countries should have offices that will educate you on all of this. In Nigeria, we have an office, NOTAP, National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion. If you go there, they're going to tell you all it is. But they know that people Nigeria is big. We're 36 states. Hawaii is from Abuja. Wave at me. Yes, I'm from Edo State. It's a very long distance to that place. So what NOTAP now did is to go to each of these universities, which I am the scientific and evaluation officer in my school, Intellectual Property and Technology Transfer Office, that now goes from faculty to faculty to educate them on their rights as entrepreneurs. All right? Intellectual property is an idea owned by someone. Don't steal it, because if you steal it, you're plagiarizing and you could go to jail. Entrepreneurship rules the world. Be ready to take risks and make money, because no pain, no gain. Shukran. Thank you for your attention. God bless you.
Thank you very much for the valuable information regarding the regulatory matters of what you produce actually. All big business and the work started with the small innovations and start innovations and entrepreneurs. So it is enough, it's not enough for us at institutional levels or at the university level just to disseminate information about the entrepreneurship. Because most of our ownership in Africa and in other countries had been stolen by other people outside, and they get benefit of it. So if we talk about economical developments and industrializations, we need to talk about the legal issues. How can we control? How can we register? How can we keep our own issue for my sake and for my institution or for my countries? As this is why I said, if you have entrepreneur programs as a university, or if you have a country plan for that, you need to start your strategy and policy. Because once you are doing that, you include all needed issues, the integrated issues. the knowledge, informations, transformations, and regulatory matters. And also we need to consider ethics of business. This is the most important issues because any type of productions, any type of commercial issues need an ethical applications. Thank you very much. And we are coming to the fourth participants. Dr. Vani Netu from South Africa. Also, she will show us the analytical results for her work in South Africa, and I think she worked in many Arabic countries and she had a big experience about that. Thank you. The presentation will go around the chains or value chains of the productions that started from creativity and then it translated into innovations in form of productions, and then later it can be in commercializations. So they will talk about the relationship between all these items in a chain of final productions.
Thank you for your patience. Good afternoon to you all. I'm Dr. Vani Naidu once again from the University of KwaZulu-Natal, the School of Management, Information Technology and Governance. My topic for presentation today will look at the area of the catalytic relationship between creativity and innovation for entrepreneurs. This is a brief overview of the areas to be covered. The playing field for entrepreneurs has become more complex through globalization and the rapidly changing technological environment. In order for SMEs to grow and sustain themselves in the turbulent technological era, entrepreneurs need to focus on creativity and innovation to remain competitive in their respective business sectors. Since we live and work in an era of technological advancements, in order to respond to the changes in our dynamic technological environment, entrepreneurs need to keep abreast of these changes in order to survive, grow, and sustain their business. SMEs therefore require creativity and innovation, which are important catalysts that drive their growth, survival, and sustainability within the marketplace and the overall economy. This is a qualitative paper where various books, journal articles, and government documentation was reviewed with specific reference to SMEs, entrepreneurship, the area of creativity and innovation, technology employed in SMEs, as well as it was a specific case to the South African business environment. A basic background into conceptualizing the entrepreneur and SMEs. According to Van Aert and his colleagues, an entrepreneur is a person who focuses on an opportunity in either new or existing businesses to create value while assuming both the risk and the reward in the form of profit. There are various examples. For example, it could be informal, small businesses and corporate organizations, depending on the size and the capital investment involved. Ngoma indicates that in Africa, annual income and industry in which the enterprise operates plays a key part in the definition of an SME. Our country's National Small Business Amended Act of South Africa in 2004 defines an SME as any separate business entity, including cooperative enterprises and non-governmental organizations managed by one owner or more, and is predominantly carried on in any sector or subsector of the economy, which can be defined as micro, a small, or a small and medium-term enterprise, depending on the number of employees and the total annual turnover and gross asset value. You find that SMEs employ more people than micro and very small businesses and tend to be managed by a single individual. Okay. So what is the role SMEs play in our economy? According to Bellamy, he indicates that the widespread regard of the SME sector as the backbone and engine room and catalyst of economic growth. He acknowledges the role it plays in the wealth creation, provision of products and services, employment creation, and the contribution to the country's GDP of both developed and developing countries. Robu argues that SMEs play a vital role in driving social economic developments of many countries, including developing nations. It is estimated that 99% of operating businesses around the globe are SMEs. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, argues that SMEs play a critical role in the terms of economic growth in its member countries, claiming that they are the source of most employment creation, and indicates that 90% of enterprises in OECD countries are SMEs, and they account for between 60 and 70% of employment in these countries. Now coming to South Africa, you find that in South Africa, our Competitive Commission report in 2016 revealed that we had 2,251,821 SMEs in total, and that 90% of these were South African businesses were SMEs, okay? So globalization's SMEs employing technology. Now you find that SMEs need to learn in order for them to grow, to develop, to survive in this climate, in this present culture, in this digital age. They need to employ technology in their everyday operations. So globalization has brought with it tremendous competition, a rapidly changing macro environment, and turbulent and demanding market conditions. In order for SMEs in South Africa to grow and sustain themselves, they must learn to operate their businesses more efficiently using the various technologies at hand. Improving SME efficiencies can also make their businesses more productive, which will in turn improve their competitive advantage in the marketplace. In South Africa, the tireless efforts made by the government through the Departments of Science and Technology strongly advocates that the role of technology plays in improving SMEs' manufacturing operations is vital. For we have a very strong manufacturing component in our country which contributes highly to our country's GDP. So according to the National Advanced Manufacturing Technology Strategy in South Africa, the institution aims at establishing and enhancing, stimulating technological upgrade in industry to facilitate the flow of technological resources and building of an environment which is conducive to the area of innovation. Unpacking the concepts of creativity in SMEs. This is the next focus. So Poon, Mohammed, and Yusuf argue that creativity is a key aspect of innovation amongst SMEs. Through SMEs' flexibility, owners and managers need to exploit resources, explore opportunities, and develop innovative techniques, products, and services geared towards creating competitiveness of their SMEs. You find that creativity is driven by numerous factors. These include availability of resources and effective policy within industry, governments regulating small businesses specifically in this area. SME management must therefore foster an environment of trust and cooperation with their employees who can be encouraged to integrate their knowledge with opportunities in order to develop innovative products for their customers in the marketplace. This would in turn guarantee SME survival and future sustainability. Ishman indicates that training amongst SMEs is crucial in acquiring creativity-relevant skills. It doesn't just come overnight. People or employees and their employees within SMEs and the managers or owners need to be trained skillfully. Most of the time in South Africa, it happens through credentialing through universities, like such as mine, or by an NGO. Okay, so for example, South Africa, SMEs that utilize ideas. The other idea suggested is that creative solutions are obtained with employees within SMEs who share and discuss ideas. You find that, for example, when this occurs, These ideas do better in both process and product innovation, particularly when they are generated by production employees and ultimately influence higher new product sales. Now, unpacking innovation in SMEs, according to Rosalind Sidek, the contribution of innovation on SME performance is evident and mainly driven by both product and process innovations. These include the innovations in product development and development in information and communication technology. Lusko and his colleague add that innovation in SMEs may also include improvements in the daily operations of the business, for example, in management, in marketing, in human resources, and other business practices. For example, an SME can use social media to advertise their brand and create awareness. It's also very cost efficient. With the wider coverage globally. So through learning and informal interactions between SME members and customers, SMEs acquire knowledge from their customers. Their informal interactions allow them to understand customers' needs and interests, and thereafter such preferences are embedded in the improvements of the products, the processes, and operating environments. These improvements may translate innovation capabilities of the firm. So, however, these are the following challenges affecting innovation practices in SMMEs. Basically, there is a lack of high-skilled and experienced staff in innovation. I always say this, in order to make money, you need to spend. Sometimes it's important to keep staff who are innovative there. You rather pay them the necessary money so that they can continue making money for your business, okay? So SMEs are generally hesitant to provide funds for employee training and development, and it is argued that in order to retain high-quality employees that owners and managers have hired, it is fundamental to have training and development because it helps build loyalty to the organization. Savadi indicates that training and development should not be viewed as an investment and not an expense, but it is essential and not optional for the success of the business. So it should be mandatory, so to speak. So the second challenge is the failure to integrate SMEs sections through effective communication. Basically, SMEs need to improve their communication processes and structures and enhance their relationships with key innovative stakeholders in order to facilitate innovative activity. Islam and his colleagues suggest that the commitment of SME owners or managers in creating work environments that promote knowledge sharing amongst employees and its utilization is a major strategy that can enhance knowledge management initiatives and practices in SMEs. Such commitment is likely to reduce costs related to acquiring knowledge from external businesses outside. Wister and Westerberg posit that the influence of owners or managers' personality in establishing and maintaining business networks is important. Sometimes, if you have a more vibrant personality, they're able to communicate better, they'll be able to network better with the various stakeholders in governments, NGOs, and in the sector. Another challenge is the lack of risk-taking by entrepreneurs. According to Lawal and his colleagues, risk-taking can drive SMEs' competitiveness. Smith and Watkinson argue that the enterprise risk management approaches need to be adopted by SMEs in order to manage risk, operation and production costs, and integrate risk practices in the strategic objectives. These approaches enable SMEs to make self-risk assessment. Additionally, such approaches are likely to enable the SMEs to prioritize enable SMEs to make self-risk assessment. Additionally, prioritize risk according to the SME's specific needs and resources. You cannot engage in opening up a new, how shall we say, location, moving to a new location if you do not have the necessary resources. Sometimes, if we foster good relationships with academics, research institutions, etc., then we can learn from them. Then they can assist entrepreneurs in learning and managing their business risk. The other challenge is the volatility in the markets. The major challenge facing SMEs is to devise and implement strategies that will manage the dynamics in the market and adjust their product innovations, development activities in order to influence SME sustainable growth. Innovative marketing practices basically enable SMEs to translate their markets, carry out a competitive diagnosis, and enhance product development initiatives as required. Also, when it comes to, apologies, now I went doo-doo. Now I need to go back up. Sorry, as I was saying, SMEs, no, up. Okay, no, down. Yeah, that's fine. One thing about the volatility, because of the ICT is always changing, an SME or an entrepreneur cannot just sit back and say, okay, we with, evolving, etc. They need to make sure they're on the ball. They need to keep abreast of the changes. They have to in order to survive. That's where the major challenge of the gap lies. So we need to train entrepreneurs in how to facilitate this. The last one is training, failure to access government support. Purely because sometimes the systems are so complicated in terms of ICT, the government, apps to apply online, etc., that many small business people feel deterred to use this. However, through training, and some NGOs actually allow them access or help apply for them so they can access funding, etc., that they need. So in order for SMEs to grow and sustain themselves, they need the support of governments and NGOs. This is often not easy. According to Kessler observes that awareness of the existence of SME support initiatives amongst new and existing SMEs is very low. He adds that both the high opportunity costs associated with owner management, spending time, assessing support, and the cumbersome application process for support are not often clear and plagued with bureaucratic tape. The last issue and most important one is training of entrepreneurs to explore creativity and innovation. Small business owners have to rechange their mindset in how they view change. Change is something the human doesn't automatically take on. This is something new often bewiles them, it threatens them. So there needs to be a process where they can be trained to handle it accordingly, okay? Especially changes in technological macro environment. In conclusion, I'd like to say technology is here to stay. To rise to the challenge, entrepreneurs in their respective SMEs need to train themselves and their staff in order to keep abreast of the technological changes. Owners and managers in SMEs need to create a culture and an environment in their business that fosters creativity and innovation, because there is a very close catalytic relationship between the two. To the educationists, I say, because I'm one, who struggle to enact the change in society, let us not falter, but stay focused in adding new curriculum in our program design so that future SME owners can enjoy embracing the technological changes that are present. I would like to end with a poem on entrepreneurs by Richard Branson. It goes like this: the road to success is paved with tests, so you've got to believe in yourself above the rest. Dream big and let your passion shine. If you don't, you won't end up with a dime. Challenge the status quo, disrupt the market and say yes. And remember that innovation is an endless quest. Don't forget to change business for good. If you want to change the world, then you should. If you think with your head and listen to your heart, I promise you, you will get off to a flying start. Make bold moves, but always play fair. Always say please and thank you. It's cool to care. Do what you love and love what you do. And this advice is nothing new. Now stop worrying about whether your business will be a hit. Rise to the challenge and say, let's just do it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vina, for the introductory work about our experience. I think we need to consider at what level do we are talking, what level of entrepreneurs and business do we want, and for what reasons. And this depends on country situations and community needs. Sometimes we need entrepreneurship to be translated into innovation and business for income-generating activity. Sometimes we need it for country economical developments. So the uses of a technology and modified methodology, it depends on the level of what we are thinking about and the expected outcome of our planned activity. Thank you very much. And we're coming to the fifth speakers, Dr. Samuel from UNESCO chair, and I think he will have, must have regional ideas about the entrepreneur and innovations according to his work as a director of UNESCO chair of entrepreneur or working at UNESCO chair of entrepreneur. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Once again, good afternoon, fellow participants. My name is Samuel Igbatayo from Afe Babalola University, Nigeria. I will be making a presentation extemporaneously by speaking to my paper. The topic of my paper is Spurring Digital Revolution for Decent Jobs in Sub-Saharan Africa, a comparative analysis of Cote d'Ivoire and Kenya. Now, we have listened since yesterday that this forum commenced about the global trends associated with digital technology, which is a unique opportunity that has presented itself in transforming the global economy. Well, it is also not new that Africa has been marginalized in the global digital transformation process. The reasons are very clear, attributable to the unique history of Africa, which is characterized by 400 years of slavery, 100 years of colonialism, and several decades of ill-informed development policies. And that has actually ruled out Africa's participation in the first three phases of the Industrial Revolution. But there is hope and there is enthusiasm that Africa will rise to the challenges and opportunities that the digital transformation process presents to the continent. In recent times, for example, many cities across the region has seen the emergence of technological hubs across sub-Saharan Africa, from Abidjan to Lagos to Kigali to Nairobi, Addis Ababa, Johannesburg. All these major urban centers in Africa has become a technological hub where digital technologies are being nurtured by entrepreneurs. Many of these entrepreneurs are graduates, engineers that have developed softwares, apps, and other elements of the digital revolution. And many are also attracting capital from venture capitalists, from development agencies, and they are contributing their own quota to to the digital revolution across the region. But what are the major drivers of digital transformation in Africa? Number one, you have mobile phones. Mobile phones have become a critical tool for digital transformation across the continent. With current levels of about 80% of the population having access to mobile phones and other kinds of tablets. And this is particularly encouraging because most areas of the economy, Africa's economy is largely driven by agriculture. So you have farmers that have access through mobile phones. They are able to be connected to the market using mobile phone systems. They are able to be connected to the market. They are able to be connected to sources of raw materials. And this has transformed their activities and has brought about increased profit for many. Then the other element of the digital economy in Africa is the internet. Why internet connectivity is low for now, estimated at about a third of the population that has regular access to the internet. The fact of the matter is that the process is deepening, that is internet connectivity. And starting from about 2010, with the deployment of fiber optic submarine cables around Africa, this has enabled wider bandwidth and faster internet connectivity. And that has also brought about innovative activities of entrepreneurs across various cities in Africa. Now, what about the role of universities in Africa? I will start with my own country, Nigeria. Around 2008, acknowledging the critical role of entrepreneurship in driving economic growth and development, the National Universities Commission, which is the apex regulatory body in charge of universities in Nigeria, mandated all universities in Nigeria to include entrepreneurship studies as part of their curriculum. So, regardless of discipline, so whether you are in law, whether you are in engineering, whether you are in social sciences or humanities, you are required to have at least a couple of courses in entrepreneurship studies so that graduates will emerge as employers of labor rather than unemployed seekers of jobs across the country. So, for example, in my own university, Afe Babalola University, we have developed a model whereby we partner with government and industry to foster research and entrepreneurship so that our students can gain exposure through internship with industries. And then our researchers can also collaborate with industries where they can learn some of the challenges that are there in industry and tailor their research agenda to mitigating some of the challenges that emerge in industries. So, what is the comparative analysis in this paper between Côte d'Ivoire and Kenya? Côte d'Ivoire is located in West Africa, and for those who are not aware, it is a Francophone country and is acknowledged as the largest producer of cocoa, which is an input for the manufacture of chocolate. However, the country has also embraced digital transformation with some regulations that have emerged over the past couple of decades, fostering ICTs as a critical tool that can promote education, particularly starting with the secondary school. At the secondary school level, the STEM program, STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, are integrated in the curriculum of secondary schools that bring about the nurturing of students and spurring their knowledge for education in sciences and technology. In recent times, with rapid internet connectivity and the deepening of access to mobile telephones, the government in Côte d'Ivoire has seen its economy resurging after an intermittent civil war that undermined the economy for some time. But there is a resurgence of economic growth in Côte d'Ivoire, now largely driven by ICTs. And it has brought about economic diversification in this country. And digital transformation has been deployed in various sectors of the economy, providing e-governance, providing services in the health sector, as well as education. But perhaps the most important area that has benefited from digital transformation in Côte d'Ivoire is the financial services sector. The financial services sector has adopted digital technology to provide mobile banking. And this has brought about financial inclusion. For the past 5 years, for example, the population of the country that now has a banking account has increased to about 70%, from less than 15% at 2010. So this is a tremendous transformation. And this application of digital technology has brought about a revolution in microfinance, which is a critical tool for small and medium-scale enterprises and also for poverty reduction. So in Kenya actually is a pioneer in the adoption of digital technology in sub-Saharan Africa. It has also enabled its economy to become very diversified, and in the process, it too has a very vibrant banking system that is enabled by the digital technology. As a matter of fact, it has provided a lot of livelihoods to agents and sub-agents across the country that derive their living from mobile banking. So at this stage, I would like to thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think the issue of entrepreneur innovations and business started from low level up to advanced modified methods. According to country situations, the institutions the financial resources, and the capability and the expected outcome. Thank you very much. We are coming to, I don't know, Samuel, Dr. Samuel is here? It's not here? Okay, okay. So we will shift to the last participants from Bahrain, Dr. Mustafa, and he will talk, Mustafa Rabbani, he will talk about his experience and the analytical results of the issue of women and entrepreneurships. So please. Okay.
Thank you. And good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. So I can see some of the tired faces. It's been an extended session. So I will not take very long. I will cut it short. And I would like to share a very fascinating story about my experience with the entrepreneurship. It was in 2006 or 7. I was in my graduation, undergraduate. There was an interview coming from Ratan Tata. You know Ratan Tata? Of course, Indians knows Ratan Tata. For those who don't know, I would like to introduce him. Ratan Tata is the owner of Jaguar and Land Rover, Land Cruiser. Range Rover, you know Range Rover? So he is the owner of Range Rover and Jaguar. Actually, there was an interview on Indie TV. The anchor asked him, you are one of the most successful businessmen in the country. Then he says, don't call me businessman. I'm not a businessman. I take it as an offense. Then anchor was surprised. And he's asking, then what you are? He said, I am an entrepreneur. Then the anchor was like, what's the difference between businessman and entrepreneur? That was his question. The anchor asked. Then he was saying, Ratan Tata said, for me, I'm an entrepreneur, not businessman, because I like to take risk. I like to promote innovation. And that's what, for me, entrepreneur is. This is what definition came to my mind, and I really like entrepreneurship. And though I teach finance, banking, Islamic finance, but it fascinates me, entrepreneurship. And I would like to accept this, and we all accept this, that without entrepreneurship, we cannot grow. As an economy, there is only one way the economy can grow. We can create more jobs, we can create more employment. That is through the promotion, growth, development of entrepreneurship. Now, today I'm going to take a very serious topic from the entrepreneurship. That is the analysis of critical barriers to women entrepreneurs in Bahrain. Bahrain is one of the developed country, and Bahrain is like having a very good in terms of entrepreneur, like agenda we have, like, I will cut it short, I will not take all the slides. I would like to introduce my topic. 50% of the world's labor force is women. If you calculate all around the world, 50% of the labor force are women. Now, my question is, how many of them are entrepreneurs? If you calculate the ratio of men and women entrepreneurs, it's very less, isn't it? Now, can we think about the growth of a nation without the growth of a woman? No, it's not possible. So we should think of a country growing only when our women are growing, isn't it? And there are many barriers, there are many hurdles, there are many limitations which are not letting a woman grow or letting a woman become entrepreneur. So I have tried to analyze some of the barriers here. So Bahrain has current female population of around 37.4%, which is very surprising. When I was researching, I thought it must be more than 50%, but it is 37.4%. Bahrain is the most modern Arab country. Like if you compare with the other Arab countries, Bahrain is of course one of the most modern Arab country, which has a mix of European and Arab culture. Okay, and Bahrain government recently started a scheme called Riyadat, where they have signed a contract with the Bahrain National Bank and Bahrain Economic Board, where they have I think, allowed $100 million for the promotion of women entrepreneurship in Bahrain. So my study is about my study is about finding out the important variables as obstacles for the growth of women entrepreneurs, and to analyze the most important factor for the growth of women entrepreneurs. So what I did and what we did, actually, I just forgot to introduce my co-researchers, Dr. Joji, she's here. Then Dr. Shahnawaz, he's from University College of Bahrain. It's in Bahrain only. So what we did, actually, we find out 20 most important critical barriers for the development of women entrepreneurs. And we did it through the extensive literature review. We have found out 20 most critical barriers. When we ask about to a woman or those who are aspiring to be a woman entrepreneur, they have, like, given these 20 variables, or they are like sexuality factor, because women are less skilled, lack of confidence, less literacy. These are all 20 variables. Now, what we did through the, we used a technique, we call it factor analysis. So through the factor analysis, we try to find out whether these all 20 variables are important variable or important hurdles for the development of women entrepreneurship. So then factor analysis actually reduces those variables. That is a technique which will reduce the variable to a few, which you can control or which you can do for your further analysis. Like, you can use other techniques for that. So through the further analysis, we have so these are the 8 factors which has came out from the factor analysis. These are individual and psychological factors, which is having 16% variance. And then we have infrastructure factors, social factors, institutional factors, government support factor, educational factor, and personal experience. So these are the 8 most important factors which is coming out from the factor analysis. And then that is the actually finding of this study. And then in the conclusion and recommendation, I would like to conclude in a way that the emphasis shall be on developing the self-confidence among the women by providing or proving them equal opportunities with respect and dignity. This is very important. Like, still, though we are in 21st century, we are a male-dominated society. We agree to that. So women should be provided equal opportunity so that they can take this entrepreneurship business with the full dignity. Then women should be having equal participation in all economic matters at home as well as at work. More infrastructure in terms of education, financial institutions needs to be created for promoting women entrepreneurship. Women are to be treated with same respect as men in the society, though we are treating now. And government must keep on playing the most important role in promoting women entrepreneurship. They should provide the financial and technical support also. There is a need to venture capital financing among aspiring women entrepreneurs, as well as the existing entrepreneurs are needing to be encouraged. So in a conclusion, I can say that we should promote women entrepreneurs, because we cannot grow unless our 50% of the population are not going along with us. That's what I mean. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mustafa, for this finding. I think this is a very important issue to start with, to know the culture of the community, because the culture can shape our needs and our activity. Thank you very much. And we are coming for our last session and last part of these sessions, the role of university educations in entrepreneur, innovation, and business. And we need to put down our thoughts in that issues. I'm asking the participants to take their seats.